Hi there everybody, and welcome to another video. On today's one I have this Mercedes A-Class. This is a 2014. This A-Class looks really different to the previous A-Classes. Anyway, this is a A180 blue efficiency petrol, and I'm gonna be changing the oil filter. Gonna top up some screen wash fluid and check the coolant level and antifreeze percentage. And I'm gonna start by topping up some screen wash fluid. So if you get your bonnet open and you look on the right hand side here, you will find this blue cover. If you open that cover, that's where the screen wash fluid goes. You can buy concentrated fluid already mixed. I usually get concentrated and mix it, but it's probably easier to buy the ready mixed one and just pour it in there. You can buy it from, I don't know, any petrol station or Halfords or anything like that. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to checking the coolant level and percentage of antifreeze that will be in this container here. Just remember, before opening this cap, if the car's been running, that can be very hot, so open it very slowly, releasing the pressure, or just let it cool down a bit and then you can safely open it. This one isn't that warm, so there was no pressure in it, so I'm just going to use this gadget here, just sucking some of that coolant out, and it's just going to give me a reading of the percentage of antifreeze in it. So this is reading about around minus 12 degrees. Okay, so this was reading about minus 12, but it's now just settling at around minus 25, 26. So that means for this coolant to freeze, it will need to reach that kind of temperature, around minus 26, which is quite cold. So I'm happy with that. With this tool you can see how clear your coolant is, and if it's also what color is it. So this one is a bluish color. So I'm happy with that. And now in terms of the level of it, usually the level that we're looking to be at is around this line here. So I can see this is at that line because this looks a little dark, but you can also just have a look in there, or even if you shine the light in there, and I'm not sure I can focus on that or not, but you can see there's just a blue reflection. You can just about see a little bit. But you can see the blue reflection is all the way up to that line. And also you can literally see it from here. You can see the liquid there. So I'm happy with the level and the percentage of antifreeze, so we can close that up. Make sure this is closed properly. And if you found that the level is a bit low, depending on how low, if it's a little bit low, then you can top it up. If it's really low, then you really want to find out what's happening. So there could be a leak somewhere. There could even be a leak on the tank, just under the tank, or it could be something else, something more like a radiator or some other pipe. So you can monitor that and then see what you may need. So now we can move on to the oil and the oil filter. This car, as I mentioned before, is the A180 Blue Efficiency, and it takes 5.8 liters. It just says in here, the following values refer to an oil change including the oil filter. So I will be changing the oil filter, and it takes 5.8 liters. They also give you this diagram here with a range of temperatures and what viscosity you can use. I'm gonna be using 5W30, which covers a good range of temperatures, which is that one there, 5W30, 5W40, 5W50. The more you go to this side, the more extremes the temperatures may be. But again, you don't want to use 0W30 if you're in a hot country, because then the oil will probably just burn out and clog up your engine. So just choose accordingly to where you are. So here in the UK, normally we'll use 5W30 or 10W30. Having said that, we'll move on to the filter I'm using. I'm using this filter, Hengst. Will come with its kit, O-rings, whatever you need. And also to open the oil filter cover, you need one of these. This is a 27mm socket. That's what you're going to need to open the little cup that covers the filter. So on that note, I'm just going to start by pulling this cover out. So that cover should just pop out. I'm also going to open the oil filler cup here. That's where we pour the oil later, and the dipstick, just to allow some air to go in while we drain the oil from underneath. I warmed up the engine a little bit to drain the oil a little bit easier, so you can warm up your engine and it will help the drainage. So the oil filter is just hiding down there. You can just see the cover there. So I'm going to be opening that. Okay, so I ran out of memory on my video camera, but what I was doing, I was just taking out the filter down here, which hopefully shouldn't be too hard to remove as long as your car is being regularly serviced. Okay, so you can just leave the filter there for a few minutes, let it drain, and then we can pull it out. That way we avoid dripping any oil around. Okay, so let's just pull that filter out. There we are. It's the filter there. So we're gonna have these O-rings, 1, 2, and 3 O-rings to change. We've got them there, and also this filter we should be able to pull it out. Okay, so you just need to pull this out. So hold it with one hand here and pull this out. That will come out like so. This is a Mercedes filter here. That's the part number if you want to use a Mercedes filter, A27018400225. I'm using one of these, so that's the Hengst one that we saw at the beginning of the video. Now we need to remove the O-rings, so I'm gonna need my 2 hands here. Okay, so take the O-rings out. And this small one as well. Give this a clean. We can then put our O-rings back in there. Just make sure it's sitting properly. And then we have our filter just plugs in there. And I'm also going to apply just a little bit of multi-purpose grease around these O-rings here. This just helps the rubber slide around nicely without getting caught or getting ripped or anything like that. And that's it. So with that ready, we can concentrate on draining the oil. So we're gonna drain the oil and then come back up here, fit the filter back on and put some oil in the car. So I'm gonna get the car up now and we're gonna drain the oil. Okay, so to get access to the sun plug bolt, we need to remove this cover. I've already removed most of the 8mm screws that are holding this cover up here. Just need to get one more out. Okay, so that gives us access to the underneath here, and what we need is a 13mm to fit the sun plug bolt there, and also we need an oil pan to catch the oil. So just something to bear in mind is if you've warmed up the car quite a bit, then the oil can be very hot, so just be careful not to burn yourself. So let's get that open and can take this out and drain that oil. Okay, so the washer just fell down there as well. Copper washer. Gonna put a new one anyway. So now I'm gonna let that drain for some time, well, 5 to 10 minutes or so, and then we get back to it and put our new copper washer on this sun plug bolt and then refit this back there. Okay, so now we're ready to fit our sun plug back in there. I've got a new copper washer there as well. Just tighten that up a little bit. No need to over tighten. They normally recommend 14 or 18 Newton meters for that bolt, which isn't a lot of force. Okay, so now I'm just going to fit the cover back in here, get rid of the oil here, and I'm going to drop the car and we can put our new filter and top up some oil. Okay, so now we're ready to fit our filter. Just need to match the pointy part into the center hole. Then I'm going to tighten that a little bit in by hand before using the actual tool, just to make sure that is going straight. So once you're confident that's going straight in and not damaging the threads or anything, then we can use our ratchet. And on the top of that cover you may notice it says 25 Newton meters, which isn't a lot of force again. So if you have a torque wrench, you can torque that to 25 Newton meters. Okay, so we can just tighten this now. Filter is in, and now we can top up some oil. So I'm gonna pour in 5.8 liters as we already discussed. I got my oil here. I'm using the 5W30, and I'm just going to get a funnel. So I'm gonna put that in there and then I will come back. Okay, so I got 5 liters in there. This is just the 0.8 I got ready here. So the 800 ml. So oil is in. Now we can check dipstick. Make sure we have the correct amount. So you will notice on the dipstick it shows you a little max arrow here. It says max in there, and also it's got an arrow, and then you have a minimum here again with an arrow just pointing at that area there. So we're aiming to be here at the max. And if I check the oil now, it might be a little bit higher than the max. It might be sitting somewhere up here, and that's because once we run the engine, some of that oil will go into the oil filter housing and then it stays there, which will then bring the oil to the max area. Okay, so just having a look here, I can see the oil is up here as is expected. So just to be a bit more accurate here, the oil is somewhere up here at the moment, somewhere up there. We aiming to be somewhere here. This would be the max point. That's the minimum point there, max, and at the moment it's up here. So once I run the engine, this part here will go into the oil filter housing, and then we're going to be at the max somewhere around here. So that's expected. I'm happy with that. And I get dipstick back in there, take this out, get that back on there. Get the engine going. Okay, engine's been running for a bit. I can check this level again. Just gonna clean it. first, and then we'll check it. Ideally you want it to settle down for a little while before you check it, but just to roughly have an idea of where we're at. Okay, so you may be able to see that the oil is actually dropped down to the max area there, just somewhere there. And again, that's expected, so I'm happy with that. We can just get that back in there. And the last thing to do would be to put this cover back on. So that just pushes in there. And that's it. So I hope this video helps. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.